Right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us here. This is our first writing club after a very long hiatus, and I'm really excited to get it started. I'm Prabha. I'm a senior data scientist at Milbotics, and I'm a lead at the women coding community. And joining me today is Rajani Rao, one of our directors at the women coding community. And she's also a principal technologist at Aviva and founder of Visionarizer. So we've just had this idea to like start the writing club as a low pressure environment for people to just come in, spend some time writing, discuss their work with other people, get feedback, get tips, get hints, whatever you need. And it's a very safe space for anyone to join in. So if you have any questions or any queries, feel free to message us in the Slack or in the group or in the meeting right now. And before we get started with the writing club itself, I'll give a short introduction about the women coding community and what we do. So women coding community is we're just trying to build a safe space for women to thrive in tech. The mission is to empower women in their tech careers through a variety of activities like career planning, mentorship programs, learning spaces, etc. We provide workshops and events and connect members with industry mentors, foster a supportive community through meetups and conferences, and raise awareness for more inclusive industry practices. A lot of our volunteers go to conferences as attendees to like partnerships, or even go to volunteer at the event for tickets. So there's a lot of opportunities in like partnering with us. Some of the current projects and programs that are going on at the community are the mentorship program, the book club, the writing club, that is this one, a speaking club. We're also starting a career club that has an event happening next week. We've got the coding club to practice programming languages, and we run like short programs of like 3 to 6 weeks for you to practice like Python or C or some other programming languages. We've got a CV clinic. You can share your resumes and get feedback from some of the senior members in the team. And we have mock interviews where you can schedule a one-on-one mock interview. This is really helpful if you want to prepare for a specific role and just need some help in like getting ideas and improving your answers before a big interview. We've also got the system design track, the machine learning track, the cloud engineering track, and lead code study groups. And all of these are available on our Slack channel. So feel free to join them and join these channels at any time. And we also are looking for volunteers. So if you're interested in volunteering with us, there's a lot of opportunities. We always need volunteers to help us organize events, give tech talks, contribute to the open source projects, write for community blogs, organize newsletters, and many other programs. So if you're interested to be a volunteer, feel free to scan this code and or reach out to any one of us in the Slack channel. And so here we are. Finally, we're starting the writing club. And a bit about the mission for this club. It is a safe space. We want to have like people just come in and write, practice anything that they want. It could be short pieces like social media posts, or long form pieces like newsletter, technical articles, fictional articles, anything that you're interested in writing. And all kinds of writings are welcome here. Feel free to like share your existing work or come up with some new work, and just grab a seat and write, essentially. So now I'll hand over to Rajani to talk about some of the frameworks that are used in writing. And Rajani, over to you.
Thank you, Prabha. So before I get started, I'd like to know where we are in the journey of writing. I have spoken to a couple of them here who joined in earlier, but I'd like to know where we all are in terms of our writing journey. Feel free to unmute. It's just feel free to unmute and share or put it on the chat.
Hi, I can talk about it a little. So, as Rajani knows already, she's my mentor. So, I just started writing on Medium, and so I thought this will be really helpful for me. So, I mostly write about technical content, but I wrote this one piece which was non-technical and it got a lot of traction. So I was thinking in both ends. So I wanted to learn how to write technical as well as non-technical. So I think I'm hoping for some tips today.
Okay,
That's it.
great. Anybody else?
Hey Rajani, it's Ellie here.
Hello. Hi,
And
Ellie.
I am also starting. I always posted in LinkedIn, but not technical one. And I was just curious to know this writing club is about, I don't know, soft skills, technical skills, like per session here. Uh,
Okay. So that's a good question. It is so every month we'll have the writing club, and each month we're going to cover a different topic, right? And we'll practice the topic. Um, Today we've chosen about the topic of humans. Let me start sharing my screen, and then we can get stuck in. Okay, so today I'll be talking about the emotional arc. We are humans, right? In this day and age of AI and writing, how can you make sure that your writing stands out, or emotionally tugs at people? And there's a framework for this in particular. But I also want to start by saying that humans are used to stories. They only remember people who are good at telling stories. When you go and look at presentations, the presentations that actually left you feeling like, oh wow, they are great at presentation, or you read an article and you said, wow, that was really appealing, is all because there's a story there. Even in technical writing, you can have a story. And so today what we're going to do is use this opportunity. I'm going to walk you through these slides. Then we'll use the opportunity, give you a few minutes to actually go through the framework, write something. And then you're welcome to either share it in your own medium, or you're welcome, because we do blogs in Women Coding Community. So you can contribute to the blogs, or also the newsletter. We include these blogs that we publish on Women Coding Community in our newsletter. You're welcome to also, like if you've published on Medium, share it with us, and then we can put it in our newsletter. So, so it's a very simple, format, really. If once you know what it is, you can use it for like personal essays, speeches, presentations, articles. So it's the same thing, right? Like how to tell the best stories. And if you're writing, or if you're speaking, even business writing, it's applicable. So once you learn this technique, you can use it everywhere. And if you're like, even reposting, there's a story you can share. Yeah, feel free to use it. So I'll start with why most writing fails flat, in this sense, because we always play it safe, right? And playing it safe is boring. It's too safe. There's no tension. So there's no conflict to no story. So um, it is a bit flat, and it's not engaging. There's also no transformation. So readers love change and growth. So if you have an element of transformation, that's great. And then also same place, it starts and ends without the journey, right? So you haven't moved in, you haven't weaved a story. It starts and ends there. So so if you use this framework, which I call it the emotional arc, think of it as low, lower, then turn and climb, and then high, right? That's the peak. And if you were to write stories like that, it's going to have that impact. So by using this this emotional arc, you can actually take your reader on a journey, and the valley or the low, right, the flat, where you start, the low is where you connect with your audience. And connection is once you connect, so you know, once you connect with your audience, they've started reading and it's connected and you have connected there, then they are willing to give you the rest of the time to read your content, right? So so I would always start with low, where you can actually connect with them. Then the lower is you will show, you know, you'll drop it a little lower to say what are the real stakes, right? So you make a stat, a powerful stat, and then you if it's your technical writing, you give a stat, and then you will drop your stat further to say what is the implication of that stat, like what does it mean to people. And that's how you know, you'll drop it lower, and then you turn it back to say, right, this is how we're going to change. So that's the problem, you know, that's where you connect. Then you lower it down, and then you turn it to say, right, this is the moment of transformation when the change started. It's not the transformation itself, but the moment distinctively why things shifted. And then eventually you start climbing. So the climbing is not easy. You have to, you know, the climb has to be shown. So that's why the climb is important. You show the steps you did to get there. Like, you know, usually a three step is the best. And then you end in the high point. And the high point is where you will leave people elevated, right? Inspired, hopeful, and transformed. And if you want, feel free to like just take a snapshot of the slide, so we can, yeah, so you know what you're doing, what's the emotion involved, and what you're doing. So stage one. So what are we doing in stage one? So here we open with the struggle, right? The failure, the confusion, and you actually make people feel the problem, and you create immediate empathy. So for example, I was standing in the car park at 2 a.m. completely lost. Or you start with 3 rejections in a week, or the day I realized I've been lying to myself. So if you started with I was lost, it's pretty boring, right? But when you say I was standing in the car park at 2 a.m. completely lost, there's a difference in the way you actually say it, and you can, you know, further elaborate it with your workloads, and I couldn't remember why I was there, right? And that's visceral, and you want to know more. So you want to put a little more detail there rather than I was lost. You want to say I was standing in the car park in my work clothes at 2 a.m. completely lost. So start in the hard moment, not with the background or setup, you know, start directly where it hurts. And that's your valley. That's your low. Now, the second stage is where we go deeper. And this is the lower. So you go lower. So you don't rescue yourself yet, right? You don't go with, okay, this is my low, and don't rescue yourself. You go from lower and you drop it down. If you were to see a graph, low and then a drop. And then you really show what is at stake here. What could you lose? What are you afraid of? And what is the implication of you staying, you know, in that valley? What's the implication of it? And you can also in here add a complicating factor, that, you know, so for example, that realization, you know, made it worse. I you know, I was here, and I just realized that it wasn't the job, and I've been lying myself for years, right? So that you're already there, and then you drop it down to say, then I realized it wasn't the job. I have been lying to myself for years. And I think this is what separates good writing from the great. Don't save yourself too quickly. Go deeper, and then like, what's really happening? What did you realize? And this is where you show the real problem. The next, I hope you're understanding the distinction, right? So the low and then the lower. Yeah, you drop it a little lower. Now this is where the shift happens, the turn. So something changes, right? A realization, a decision, or an event. But when you're talking about the shift, you want to keep it brief but very clear. And this turn has to be earned, not forced, right? So that's when my daughter asked me a simple question. I found an old journal entry from 10 years ago. A friend sent something that broke through, or in my case, my daughter pointed out that she was the only girl in the football class, right? So that's the shift. That's something that happened, like shifted, change your trajectory. Someone's raised their hand.
It's me.
Yeah, go on.
So just the last point, it says it has to feel earned, not miraculous or cheesy.
Yeah.
How can we add depth to this turn that makes it feel earned?
Because so if you're cooking up something, then it's slightly difficult to earn. But if you've picked up a story that's real, right, and you have actually brought in the shift, it's quite real. It's happened. And it can't be like, oh, so if I was talking about my story of how I started, I got into this whole, like, empowering women. It all started with something very simple. I was at a school, and I was actually dumbfounded. I was shocked to see how many women really came to my engineering when I was talking about engineering as a career. And that was my low, right? The second, and then I was pretty depressed, and I spoke to my husband, and I said, and I said, you know what, I mean, if this is the rate it continues in schools, I don't think our daughters will, even pick up STEM as a subject. It's because all the girls were saying, I'm not cut out for it. And the lowest point was when I was sitting in my daughter was 4 years old at about the same time, and I sat there, and she came running to me. She's like, Mama, do you notice there's no girls in my class, in my football class? I'm the only girl. And when she said that sentence, actually I sat there and I felt something within me. I was like, oh my God, I've been in tech meetings and leading meetings where I'm the only girl. And I really felt emotional. So do you see how how the lower became low? And then the shift is what I did, right? I then applied as a volunteering, so it's that shift. I wanted to do something about it.
Right.
And it's that, when you realize it, and then you make a decision, and then you shift, right? Like, okay, I do not want this for my girls.
Right.
I do not want this for my girls. So you build up and then you shift. So when I say it shouldn't be, it has to, like, all flow, is what I was trying to say, that it has to flow, where it doesn't feel like it's, oh, something happened and then I did this, and there's sort of like, oh, how do you go from here to there? So that low and the lower should feed into your shift, where it feels like it's a natural, organic move to do that.
Right. Okay. Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
And others, if you have questions, feel free to jump in and ask. So after the shift comes the climb, right? So, okay, you've taken a decision, So I've taken a decision. I'll also share my story. I've taken a decision. I'm going to volunteer, right? So what I do, I start by volunteering for, um, speaking about my life, my career, and then I start volunteering at Women Who Code. And then I think, I can't bring in that change just by volunteering. I need to do much more. Then the next step is, became the director of Women Who Code. And the third step is when Women Who Code shut down, basically, we started women coding community. So that step, that climb is there. And then also after all of that, I started my own founder for Vision Ariser. So because I realized by mentoring a lot of women that women, could dream big, they could be ambitious, and they could just get out of their comfort zone and be whoever they want to be. They aren't. So I started Vision Ariser. So if you can see the climb, the build up, my overarching goal is to bring a shift, bring a transformation, and that's where I started. So I've shared my example here. So here we're going to show the journey upward, right? Like, don't go from, okay, I did this and then go there. So, like, show the build, like, okay, I did this small thing and the next step and the next step. And usually 3 steps is good, the power of 3. And also it has to be like, don't make it too easy, right? Like, real change is hard, and show that that honesty, like, okay, for me to go from here to there, which means I have to shift it, what I'm doing with my life, which means I rely more on my husband. And I have to also think about what I'm doing with my kids, because they have their homework and their upbringing, and I want to be there for them. And I start juggling things. So so the climb has to be honest and real as well, right? Like, and it has to give them a feeling that I can do this too, right? So the climb, or even I can do this. And I'm sure that couple of leaders who are here, started off from there, where they broke. They said, okay, I can do this too. I can also be a leader, and I could contribute. And they've gone on to be amazing, in other ways. Um, so be honest about the climb. The last one is, at this point you've bought, you've gotten there, and then leave them elevated, right? You want to see hope with your words and what you're writing. There should be like clarity, also strength, and you want to show the transformation. Like, I went from 0 to 1, right? And it's not even fake. You want to show the real change, because people know when you are fibbing. So give them something to hold on to. And elevation usually doesn't mean that it has to be always like positive, and it just means that you've left them like, positive the better. But it could also be like, oh my god, I don't know if anyone has watched David Attenborough's recent movie about the ocean. I mean, it's such a brilliant narrative, a story that like literally shows this emotional arc, and at the end, they leave you with like, okay, you know what, I understand, and I understand more, and how I can contribute to saving the creatures in the ocean, and saving the planet. Hence, so it's quite it is beautifully done. So elevated in the sense, nothing has changed. There's still a lot, there's still a lot of like mining happening, gas and oil mining happening, and wrecking the sea. But you still feel elevated. You feel like, you know what, I think there is hope. He left us with, there is hope, where the water actually regenerates, like the sea, like plants and everything regenerates. So if we stop doing what we're doing, then we give the earth a chance to heal. We give the oceans a chance to heal. So that's elevation, if you see. So when I say positive, like, it gives you hope. I'm just trying to distinguish that it's not necessarily like, oh, this is positive. It could also be that nothing has changed, but the transformation has ended up where you're making them feel like there's hope, there's strength, there's clarity, there's determination, and how you're different. And what else? So if I were to like take the story of the car park, now when I walk past that car park, I smile, not because it was easy, but because I'm finally living my own life, right? So, and also remember when you are ending in this, you don't want to summarize. You don't say in conclusion, okay, this is what I want to summarize. There are scenarios where you want to summarize, but in this emotional arc, if you want to guide them to the story, you end with feelings, and show that you give them usually hope and inspiration is elevation. Any questions here? So common mistakes when you're writing, right? So it's easy when I'm explaining it. When you start writing, trust me, even for me, these are some of the mistakes I make, that I start too high, I've not dropped it, and I'm literally go from low to start rescuing too fast, or I do a very like unrealistic turn. I've read stuff where I'm like, okay, from there, how did you get there? It's not making sense. And then so also like we said, what I learned, using language like what I learned, it sort of kills the emotion. You want to show and not tell. Like you want to show something, you want them to feel something, so you want to show. Like say for example, we humans, right? The way we work is, if I talk about, say, biting a tarty lemon, we all our mouth waters, right? So you want to you basically you're actually you're telling something, but you are literally, when you're telling that, you say, oh, you take a lemon and you bite into this and you feel it, right? So you explain the whole emotion around it, and that's where stories come to life. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, feel free. This is your chance. We are going to start writing, so we'll have 5-minute timers. So we'll start with a low point. So don't solve it yet. Just be in the moment. What's the moment you felt lost, stuck, or defeated? And when did something fall apart? You don't think about solutions. Don't think about anything else. Just think about only the moment where you felt lost, stuck, or defeated, or where you hit low. Okay. Are we ready to get started?
Yes. So, Rajani, do you want me to share some of the prompts that we have for fictional writing, or do we want to do like a reflective piece only?
I think we can do a reflective piece, but
Okay.
feel free to share it in the chat, and if people want to like pick up a few ideas, just share a few ideas. But I want this to be like the moment, because everybody, all of us, have been in a moment where we felt lost, stuck, and defeated, right? So if we can start from there, then it'll be really good. So then we can look at this and share some of the lines that we've come up with.
Right.
But
Okay.
if we don't have inspiration, then
At
we
this
can
moment.
at this point. If we don't, then feel free to share some examples.
Right. Okay. So are we doing 15 minutes or 20 minutes? 20 minutes?
So 5 minutes. And what I want to do is, can we stop recording now? Because I want people to start sharing their personal stories.
All right. So we will. I'll start the timer for 5 minutes, and then once 5 minutes are done, we can discuss our pieces. So I'll stop the recording for now. So great.
How is everyone feeling?
Yeah.
How is everyone feeling? It's not being recorded, so unmute and start speaking.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the framework makes a lot of sense. And certainly for me, I've not done any really writing before, and it feels like something I can actually apply.